I was building a relationship back with my father.
He lives each day like it's his last.
He had gotten this convertible two-seater Mercedes, just trying to look kind of like a playboy.
You guys need anything in town?
The more gold he got on his fingers, it's like the more tense things got.
Using an escort service?
I was shocked.
It's just me and the guys having a little bit of fun.
I didn't really know everything about his lifestyle.
Until new habits lead him to a terrible fate.
I was scared to death.
Just like a wave of heat that came from my head and flowed all the way out my toes.
It was just one of the most brutal murders that I'd ever seen.
When death comes knocking, no one is safe. A terrible silence has fallen on the already quiet town of North Natomas, California.
It was about 7:25 in the evening, and it was right when Final Jeopardy started. I'll never, ever forget it. It was a Thursday.
Hello?
Hi there, I'm calling from your dad's work. Have you spoken to him lately?
No, not in a few days. Why?
I'm a bit worried about him.
Phil's boss called and said that he hadn't been to work and she was concerned.
That is strange. Thanks for calling me.
As a former military man, it's unlike Philip to be late, let alone not show up at all.
I go, that's not like my dad.
I'm going over to my dad's.
Is everything okay?
I don't know. So I'm gonna go find out.
I noticed that his car isn't in the driveway, and the lights are all off, and it just looks like no one's home. I say, wait a minute. I have to go check. I have to see if my dad is in there or something is going on. I open the door.
Dad? Is anybody home?
And I don't know if you've ever had to go to anybody's house that isn't yours and try and find the light, or any light for that matter, but I couldn't find the lights. Made my way to the refrigerator, opened the refrigerator for light.
Dad? Dad?
And then I found about a 3-foot puddle of dried blood. In my mind, I thought, hey, my dad just got hurt. Maybe he's just at the hospital.
A dark feeling comes over Henry.
Something again came to me and said, no, you got to check this place out. You need to look through everywhere.
Anybody home?
I walked from his den into his bedroom. And then I decided, hey, I should look in the closet. I should just look and see, what's going on. Something told me, look in the closet, you dummy. I found my father face down, naked, and he had a plastic bag over his head. I almost vomited. I was scared to death.
Julie, you need to get over here. Dad's dead.
Juliana arrives almost immediately.
I was just horrified, just scared. We were both just terrified, scared. We thought he had killed himself at that point. We both thought he put a bag over his head and sadly suffocated.
Henry calls 911.
I just thought that he'd been so down. He'd been so bummed out. And he had no passion about anything.
Except Philippenhofer has no history of suicidal behavior.
We're in North Natomas?
After a long career in the military, 58-year-old Philip moves to the quiet area of North Natomas from Placerville, California, to be near his son and granddaughter.
He was somebody who loved to tell corny jokes. He was the king of the groaner type of joke, the grandpa style of joke.
Recently divorced from his second wife, he's enjoying his new chapter as a grandfather.
I think he looks hungry. Do you think he looks hungry? Well, would he eat ice cream? Really?
He was a great granddad, A+ granddad.
Our oldest daughter, Erica, was his first grandchild, and he adored her. He just loved her. He'd only had sons, so this was the first little girl, his first grandchild. She had so much of a relationship with him, and he just always wanted to take her places and just adored her.
It's also an opportunity to get to know his son after spending years abroad.
I was building a relationship back with my father. I was a rebellious teen, and he and I didn't see eye to eye.
It's nice to have you around after all these years.
Strange, but nice.
Tell me about it. It's like I guess I'm trying to make up for lost time.
Me too.
We had a pretty weird relationship growing up because he was a military guy, and he was gone quite a bit. You know, he did Korea, he did Vietnam, and then he also did Thailand.
Would you like some tea?
Yes, please.
I wish it could have been more loving, more hug.
Everyone, take a picture.
I just wanted to know the guy and give him a fair, equal shot at being my dad.
Philip finds a job as a civil servant nearby.
He was very happy, really proud to work at McClellan Air Force Base.
But soon the newly single Philip finds life in North Natomas a little too quiet for his taste.
It was very quiet. I mean, at night, if you were out there, you could hear the crickets. If you lived next door to somebody, you could probably hear a pin drop.
He's eager to get back on the scene and date.
He really loved to go square dancing and, you know, just try and have somewhat of a social life.
But soon square dancing is no longer cutting it for Philip.
I don't think there was a lot of action going on there for him.
He decides to live it up a little.
He had gotten this convertible two-seater Mercedes.
In the car, I think he thought he looked marvelous.
You know, he was wearing like those big gaudy gold nugget rings and gold chains around his neck and had his shirt unbuttoned a little bit more than he used to.
He just proceeded to go out, try and meet folks, basically have a social life of some sort.
He went from, you know, the square dance guy to the gold nugget guy in like a blink.
So when he is out on the prowl, we'll say, in his ride, driving up and down the streets with his babe magnet stuff, all the tools that he could get, he seemed like he was happy just to be doing that.
But even that stops being enough.
I found a list.
Want another one? Sure, why not?
On this list, they have women, and it shows what they do, what they don't do, and their height, their weight.
Are you serious?
And so I asked him,
You using an escort service? Hey, come on. Just me and the guys having a little bit of fun. Really? Yeah.
I try and pin him down.
Can you imagine if Juliana finds out about this? Hey, what I do and who I do it with is my business. All right?
Okay.
Turns out that's not the only secret Phil is hiding.
That was the only person that he would want to spend time with.
I was shocked.
Say so.
I didn't really know everything about his lifestyle.
Newly divorced Philip Inhofer is looking for love in all the wrong places,
You using an escort service?
much to his son Henry's dismay.
Just me and the guys having a little bit of fun.
I was very embarrassed when my father started seeing women or purchasing their services, for lack of a better word.
Sunshine through today.
Maybe he just felt that it was a no-hassle arrangement and that he could just have a life like that.
Even so, Philip often finds himself alone.
I don't think he liked being alone. I don't think that's him.
In January of 1991, Philip phones an escort service and asks for one of his regular girls.
Hi. Is Christine available tonight? Would she be able to bring along one of her friends as well?
Christina brings one of her new roommates, Jade, to meet Philip.
Hey, ladies. Welcome. Come on in.
It's good to be back, Philip.
Ooh, I love your dress. And who have we here?
I'm Jade. It's nice to meet you.
Hi there, Jade. Come on in.
Philip is struck by Jade's beauty.
That was the first time that Jade had accompanied Christina over to Phil's home. When they were there, Phil became very enamored with her, and of course she was very attractive. She was young, vivacious.
Oh, that's nice.
She was a beautiful girl. She was tall. Her figure was perfect. She had long legs.
Jade had blonde hair. She dressed well. She liked to wear nice clothing, put her makeup on, and really looked good. Really looked great.
She was very friendly. She was a people person. She could adapt to whatever the situation was quickly. She had really good manners.
If she told somebody she was a prostitute, they probably wouldn't have believed her because she just didn't fit that, you know, that stereotype that people kind of think what prostitutes look like. But she's a very attractive woman.
Jade is legendary at the Mustang Ranch brothel where the girls work.
She had repeat customers. They were enthralled with her. I mean, she was so, I don't know, she was like a magnet. Bam. Whenever she was in a lineup, they were picking her, so she made more money than anybody made out there. I was attracted to her as a woman. That's how attractive she was. I don't do women. So.
Well, thank you, honey.
She was so gorgeous. She was incredible. Let me just say it like that.
Philip only has eyes for Jade.
I'd really like to see you again.
From that point on, Christina didn't go back. Jade started seeing Philip. He just took right to her. That was the only person that he would want to spend time with. He just liked everything about her. I mean, here was this sleek, good-looking young woman that paid attention to him and wanted to be with him. He was just taken by surprise, and he was really smitten with her. Phil wanted to be with her. He was willing to pay good money to help her because I think she told him that she had all these debts, and Phil was a nice person. You know, he was a kind man, and he appreciated her company, loved being with her, and she reciprocated, and he had no problem paying money.
Christina is not pleased. She believes Jade is monopolizing Philip's time and money.
Still seeing Phil, right? Yeah, you know, he wants to see me all the time. What? That's the last time I introduced you to a John with money. Don't call him a John. His name is Philip.
Her girlfriends, they were angry at her, and they told me nasty things about her.
She had told her coworker, you know, that Phil loved her and that she cared about him, giving them the sense that she wanted to leave the business and to have a real life, you know, settle down, have a real life.
Hi there.
When she's not working, Jade spends more and more time with Philip, often driving long hours between the Mustang Ranch in Reno and Philip's home in North Natomas, California.
You know, she thought this was for real.
As does Philip, who doesn't know what to tell his son and daughter-in-law. They, in turn, don't know what to make of the new Philip.
Hey, guys. Just on my way out to Sacramento to get them golden hubcaps for the bands. You guys need anything in town? No, Dad, we're good. Thanks.
Okay, so this playboy dude riding around with his shirt unbuttoned and his Mercedes and his gold nugget rings.
It's yourself.
It started to bother me. I'm worried about letting him take my little girl out.
What has gotten into your dad?
I mean, this is weird.
The more gold he got on his fingers, it's like the more tense things got.
But Philip doesn't care. He's in love.
Wow. He liked the fact that she would be a lot of fun. He just liked everything about her.
Show me some more.
Including her love of flashy and expensive things.
She did have expensive taste. She had the most beautiful luggage I've ever seen. And the clothes that she had, they were beautiful. I mean, it's like something you buy on Rodeo Drive or something.
This goes perfectly. Look.
All right, we'll take it.
Yeah, oh, thank you.
Phil was now taking care of her monetarily. He was paying some big amounts of money for her company, and he was also buying her things and take her shopping.
And Philip's family still doesn't know about Jade.
Henry? Is that you?
Sorry. Just dropped by to say hi. How's my favorite granddaughter doing?
She's not here right now.
He would kind of like come in the front door and, oh, gonna use your bathroom and I gotta go. And he would never even sit down and relax. He was just kind of looking around and fidgety. And so it's like, what are you doing? If you want to stay, come on, sit down.
Is everything all right?
Yeah. Lots going on. You wouldn't understand.
Oh, you wouldn't understand. That's all he said to me. You wouldn't understand. Like that.
I know.
I knew him well enough, and I sensed that something was going on, and my big concern was for his personal safety from harming himself.
But Philip's not depressed. Far from it. His problem is that he's in love, and it's costing him.
And how have you been all day today while we were out shopping, huh?
Philip was selling some of his more marketable items to buy Jade things.
As a couple, they make compromises.
Philip, I really can't stand little dogs like that.
Oh, come on. How can anybody hate this little guy?
I think I might be allergic or something. Can you please just take care of it?
And Philip makes radical changes at home.
Hey, no problem. Gotta go. Hey, where's the pooch today? Gone. What do you mean? Oh, just too much hassle. He was leaving hair everywhere.
And I said, what? You don't have your company? No, I don't have that dog anymore. I didn't like that dog.
Really? Yeah. See you soon.
I was surprised.
The strange behavior continues when Philip shocks his son Henry with a question.
So, what do you think I could get for the old bait magnet? What, you mean the car?
I thought he was nuts.
Okay, what's gotten into you, Dad? You know, maybe I need a change or something.
You've got what you wanted this whole time. You finally have your bling mobile.
But you love that car. I'm just curious, all right? It's not a crime.
And I said, Dad, why do you need another one?
Because Jade likes and wants his car, that's why.
Philip might have wanted to know if by giving it to her, you know, how much money would he really be losing, because she wanted the car.
I don't see what the big deal is. You know how much I love that car.
I love my car, too.
Come on, baby. For me?
I don't know.
I think that it became a real problem in the relationship, her wanting this car and him not wanting to part with it.
That's not the only problem.
So, you want to go shopping tomorrow?
I'd love to, darling, but I think we'd be better off taking a break from shopping for a while.
I feel like you promised.
It came to a point where it started to weigh on him heavily, the amount of money he was spending and things that he was doing.
In the end, Philip can't bear to part with the car.
Philip loved that car. I don't think that he really wanted to get rid of it.
Perhaps to make it up to Jade, the couple starts making serious plans.
I love you.
I love you too, baby.
Can't believe I found you.
There's a difference between sex and love, and so I think after a while, he wanted to find love as well as sex.
What do you think if we were to make this permanent? The two of us, together. We could even put up a little picket fence.
Jade thought that she and Philip were going to be married.
Oh. You know, I can see it. The two of us. Together. Forever.
Jade realized that Phil was falling in love with her.
I love you.
And that he was the first man that really loved her.
Yeah, I love you too.
That was one of the reasons she wanted to leave Mustang Ranch, leave the business, and move in with him.
So on March 5th, 1991, Jade asks her friend Dana to drive her 2 hours from Reno to the outskirts of Sacramento to start her real life.
You're really doing it. You're really going. Yep, that's it. I actually met the perfect guy. He's great.
Jade had told everybody she was leaving Mustang Ranch, and so Dana knew, driving her down there, that that could be the last time she would see her, because she said she wasn't coming back to the ranch.
Taking the highway pass to Sacramento is not advised.
Except a terrible storm has hit the Sierra Nevada mountains. Coincidentally, the same highway where Jade's car had spun out of control a week earlier.
She had rolled her car up on Mount Rose Highway.
Just don't think it's safe. All right, we'll give it another day.
And I said to her, I'll give you a ride, but I want to wait till the next morning until see if the snow clears.
The next day, the storm shows no signs of letting up. They decide to drive anyway.
It was snowing up on the pass. I had to go like 5 miles an hour for 2 hours up there. It was awful. She was quiet on the drive up, all the way up to the snow. She was kind of getting a little, I don't know, antsy, edgy, I don't know what you want to call it, but excited maybe.
They finally arrive.
Thanks so much for the ride. Hopefully see you soon.
I gave her a hug and I said, I hope everything's okay. She gave him a hug and he gave her a hug. They were smiling and he was real excited to see her from the looks of it.
Well, I missed you.
I missed you too.
The excitement is just a prelude to what's going to happen next.
It was just the most traumatic thing you could ever imagine.
Oh, I was horrified. I was scared to death.
It was just one of the most brutal murders that I'd ever seen.
Unbeknownst to family and friends, Philip Inhofer's girlfriend moves in with him. 1 day later, he's found dead in his home. The first responders arrive shortly after his son Henry calls 911. It's clear to them that this was no suicide.
Just like a wave of heat that came from my head and flowed all the way out my toes. This is just unreal. And it's like these flashes of light on the side of your eyes, and it was just odd.
How is this possible?
And I was so concerned for my husband as he's in shock. You know, it was just the most traumatic thing you could ever imagine.
What did they do to him? Who did this?
I couldn't stop thinking about how did we arrive here? What could we have done differently to help him, to save him?
Along with the horror comes grief.
You know, my daughter's just lost her grandfather. That was the part that just broke my heart. How do you explain this to a 6-year-old?
At that moment, I was sad because we were just starting to work things out. That's what really had saddened me.
Lead Detective John Cabrera is immediately called to the scene.
It was just one of the most brutal murders that I'd ever seen. There was a large blood stain in the carpet. That's where I saw the victim, Phil Inhofer, lying, on his stomach with a plastic bag wrapped around his head, and he was just covered in blood. I could see that he had suffered numerous stab wounds on his arms, hands, his back, and I noticed that his throat had been slashed. The knife was lunged into him and then broken off. This is a brutal murder. This is someone that went into a rage and just didn't know when to stop. We also find that his skull had been fractured, his jaw, his teeth were bashed in. Just tremendous amounts of blunt force used. The first thing I saw when I looked in the bathroom was the shredded shower curtain. And secondly, all the blood that was in the tub, on the shower curtain, on the walls. There was blood everywhere. This was just a vicious, brutal attack. I think one of the most important things that I found in the home that night while doing the crime scene is a piece of paper on the bedstand. This piece of paper had the name of Jade Cabadine. Jade's name was on 2 pieces of paper in the house. One of the pieces of paper was on an envelope, and the address matched the paper on the bedstand. So in my mind, I knew this is someone whose name has appeared in this home twice, so there has to be some significance behind it.
No one seems to know anything about Jade.
I think his father just wanted to keep that information somewhat to himself.
No idea.
Because knowing that she came from an escort service, that I think Phil just didn't want to upset his sons, his daughter-in-law.
His Mercedes is gone. It wasn't in the driveway. It's not in the garage. He loved that car.
Cabrera immediately has an APB sent out for the car. He checks the Sacramento address, but there's no sign of the mysterious Jade. Finally, a lead. After getting hold of Philip's phone records, Detective Cabrera spots a call from a man named Michael Parker in a town called Soda Springs, California.
The phone number and the city just seemed a little odd, so I followed up on it.
Yeah, hi. I'm looking for someone by the name of Jade Cabading.
I told him, I'm calling this number because this phone number happens to be in a dead man's phone bill.
But why?
I was probably in shock for a couple weeks, I don't know.
We were terrified because the person who killed him was on the run.
After Philip Inhofer's body is found violently stabbed and bludgeoned in his home, Detective John Cabrera begins a desperate search to find the one woman who may know what happened. Jade Cabading, but she's nowhere to be found. His only lead is a man by the name of Michael Parker.
Well, I met Jade last week during the storm on Donner Pass. She was in an accident.
This girl runs up to him saying, gosh, I'm so thankful you could help me. So Jade just left the car that had spun out. And they ended up back at Michael's house, and she was talking about she worked at Mustang Ranch and that she was going to Sacramento to pick up a Mercedes. Now I'm saying, wait a minute, this name Jade now becomes significant because she was en route to Phil's house to pick up a Mercedes. And we're starting to put the dots together. We contacted Mustang Ranch, tried to find out more about Jade. We finally found out what her true name was, and that was Michelle Kaminsky.
Mustang Ranch also gives Cabrera the names of Michelle or Jade's friends, including Dana.
I just got out of the shower, I had a towel on my head, and I wasn't all the way dressed. And I said, who is it? And they said, it's homicide detectives.
Dana is horrified to find out what happened to Philip.
And I just lost it. I said, oh my God. Yeah, well,
You're gonna have to tell me everything you know.
Dana gives Cabrera disturbing details about her drive to North Natomas with Jade.
On our way to Phillips, she told me to stop.
She wanted to stop at Target, and I said, sure. So we stopped at Target. She went into the lawn and garden department. She got rat poison. And I said, what are you going to do with rat poison?
How much do you think it would take to get rid of your boyfriend?
I was kind of just really like, wow, she just really has that.
Dana thought she was just talking kind of crazy, so she didn't pay much attention to her. I was just shocked about what had taken place.
Jade is now the primary suspect. But that's not all Cabrera learns. He then tracks down Jade's former roommate and co-worker, Christina.
Christina had told me that one of the things that Jade, or now Michelle, had told her is that...
Look, she tried to electrocute him.
She had thrown a radio into a previous husband's bathtub and electrocuted him.
Despite Christina's story, Cabrera can't find clear evidence this took place.
There were different stories. Some of the girls said she had electrocuted her husband in the Santa Cruz area. One of the other witnesses said that this had occurred in Florida. We never found anything of such in my investigation.
Cabrera also learns Michelle has a fascination with the dark side.
She tattooed a ring of bats around her left arm. And then she tattooed vampire bite marks on the back of her neck. And then from these bite marks, she had red blood drops tattooed. So it looked like something had bit her. Some say that she worshipped Satan.
She apparently liked this kind of gothic fantasy land of vampires and voodoo and black magic and devil worship and human sacrifice and attempted murders of every man that she would get involved with.
It's now been 3 weeks since Cabrera learned Jade's real name, and she still can't be found. When he tracks down Michelle's second ex-husband, Jason, the story takes an even darker turn.
He thought that she was putting rat poison in his food because he became extremely ill. And there was a report made about the possibility that his wife was trying to kill him.
This time, the evidence cannot be discounted.
I mean, it was just unbelievable.
It's more urgent than ever to locate Michelle, and the days are slipping by. A beautiful, lethal woman is on the loose.
She was gone. She just seemed to vanish in thin air. Whereabouts unknown.
Henry and Juliana live in fear, uncertain where she will show up next.
Can you turn down the volume for a sec?
Does this person know where we live?
It's that same car from before. Did you lock the door?
I think so.
I remember we slept all the lights on. We put golf clubs on all the doors. We were terrified. It was just utter chaos. Utter chaos.
The FBI is called in.
We put a nationwide bulletin out, for her, and enlisted the assistance of the FBI and other law enforcement agencies to help us in make an attempt to locate her.
Cabrera also reaches out to the media. Michelle is nicknamed Batgirl, and the story catches fire.
Once she appeared on these national television shows, the story about her and our search for her, we started getting phone calls from all over the United States. We're getting phone calls for people that said, yeah, she'd been by here.
Finally, there's a breakthrough. 2 weeks after the nationwide bulletin, a police officer from Biloxi, Mississippi is on routine patrol when he notices 2 women pulled off to the side of the road.
Hi. Can I help you?
Some cop happens to be driving by and he wonders what they're doing there. And,
Yeah, sure, you can look around.
and they've got this, it's like a Ryder truck with a big box on the back.
The officer takes a closer look at the truck and discovers a freshly painted silver Mercedes parked in it.
So he gets up in the vehicle, no plates. However, all vehicles have a VIN number. He runs the VIN number, and it automatically comes back to a hit that the vehicle belonged to a murder victim in Sacramento, California. And at that particular time, he places both individuals under arrest.
Cabrera does not waste a moment and immediately flies to Biloxi.
I was so relieved. I thought, good, now this ends, and it ends now.
But what he learns there is far more bizarre than he anticipated.
Some sort of devil worshiper, and she's in her zone now.
She saw snakes, and it was like a monster.
That's not a crime of passion, that's a nightmare.
Detective John Cabrera has finally tracked down the elusive Michelle Comiskey, also known as Jade or Batgirl, 2,000 miles away in Mississippi. He questions both Michelle and Crystal, her friend, found with her in the van.
Crystal was kind of, blank on anything about Michelle. She didn't even know her name was Michelle. She knew her as Julie Nelson. Crystal was released. She had really nothing to do.
He turns to Michelle.
I asked her, did you stab Phil Inhofer?
We were going to try and make it work. We were going to get married.
Then she told me, I hurt the man I loved.
I'm just going to step out for a sec.
Okay. I'll be waiting for you.
I decided to take some LSD. I was doing a lot of it at the time. The LSD kicked in, and I went to get back in the shower, but it was awful. It was awful. There was a cloud of smoke coming out of the shower.
She said that she saw snakes coming up from Phil's neck. She saw snakes, and it was like a monster.
It was a nightmare. Philip was a beast. There were creatures coming out of him.
Animals were crawling out of him, that he was some other entity.
Something was telling me to eliminate him. He was a dark force I needed to get rid of.
Satan told her he would protect her.
Honey, everything all right? Jade? Put the knife down, Jade!
She's stabbing him. And by doing so, she's shredding this shower curtain.
I kept hurting him. I couldn't stop it from happening.
And he's putting his arms out. And by putting his arms out, he's receiving all of these defensive wounds on his fingers, on his palms of his hands, on his forearms, because all he wants is for this to stop.
He tried so hard, but he couldn't. I was too strong.
She's some sort of devil worshiper, and she's in her zone now.
She breaks the first knife off me, and then she continues on with the second knife. And if that wasn't enough,
I had to make sure it was over.
she used her aluminum baseball bat on Phil's head. You know, kind of a coup de grace, making sure if he wasn't dead, he would be dead after she was done with him.
The autopsy shows Philip was stabbed a total of 32 times.
Okay, so what happened next?
I dragged the body into the closet. I had dinner and went to bed. Satan was the only one there for me. He was guiding me through everything.
The LSD details, however, are difficult to verify.
You know, I'll never know if she took LSD. The only thing I can say is that all of her roommates, co-workers, said that she'd taken over 200-300 hits of LSD. She loved to be on LSD.
The day after the murder, Michelle leaves North Natomas.
And I asked her, what did you do with all the rags? What did you do with whatever you used? And she said, well, Satan told me to take them so I could sacrifice them.
According to Michelle, Satan also told her to steal the car.
You know, she talked about his license plate. His license plate ends with 666. That was to her a sign, apparently, that Satan was alive and well.
She had to have the car painted silver to purify it for Satan.
Michelle is charged with homicide. On May 14th, 1991, she makes her first appearance in court amid a media circus. The satanic Batgirl looks more like a Laura Ashley doll.
They dressed her up like a Catholic schoolgirl. I wanted to jump across the aisle and rip her head off, to be real honest with you.
The defense argues that she endured a difficult childhood and that the jury should show some leniency.
She had sustained some physical abuse, emotional abuse. So she was portrayed as a girl that had had a miserable upbringing.
The prosecution maintains that it was a cold and calculated crime. Michelle would go to any lengths to get what she wanted, including murder.
She killed my father because she wanted his car. That's the only reason why she killed him.
On April 1st, 1994, Michelle Comiskey is sentenced to 26 years to life.
She blew up a bunch of lives that day. She didn't just kill him. She altered the destiny of several people forever. I think the most heartbreaking thing for me when he died was the grief I felt for the loss that my daughter had, because that was her grandpa. She loved him.
I wanted to know my dad as an adult and see if we could have a loving father-son relationship. I never had that.